The Oxford Dictionary definition of documentary is pictures or interviews with people involved in real events to provide a factual report on a particular subject.
What are you talking about? It's the premise of the movie. It's the title of the movie, for Christ's sake.
Nanook of the North is generally considered to be the first documentary, infusing both actuality and narrative to create an entirely new type of film. The documentary format has had a troubled relationship with the truth, often blurring the differences between a factual and fictitious production. Examples such as Michael Moore's Bowling for Columbine and Morgan Spurlock's Super Size Me are famous examples of highly recognised documentaries that had their facts proven to be false or over-dramatised for cinema effect. Biographical films are a genre that struggle with a blend of fact and fiction and face multiple hurdles in presenting their version of events. Many films claim that the events that take place on screen are based on true events or inspired by a real story. This is often proven to be false in many of the biographical films that come out of Hollywood. Biopics immediately struggle with their interpretation of the truth due to multiple factors. They cannot help that they are reenactments of events with actors instead of archival footage, so any performance given by an actor is not going to be true to life. Research is usually done to try and make the representations as accurate as possible, but it is still impossible to definitely state that what is shown is the truth. They are also one of the most popular types of films, achieving large box office revenues, whilst also receiving high levels of critical acclaim. This can be seen with the 2019 Oscars, with half of the films nominated for Best Picture being biographical films. Oliver Stone's JFK is one example of recreating historic events for the big screen and taking dramatic liberties in order to try and make the film more entertaining. Multiple characters in the film are either completely fictitious or have aspects of their lives entirely fabricated. As a result of this media backlash, Oliver Stone's Nixon had a disclaimer at the beginning of the film, claiming that the film is a dramatic interpretation and that the events had been hypothesized or condensed. This is indicative of the deception that these films try to achieve, to try and trick the audience that the fictitious events are closer to fact and the documentary mode. This is not just an issue in 90s Oliver Stone films. 2019 Best Picture nominee Bohemian Rhapsody is a film laden with misrepresentation of events and a disregard for the truth for the sake of a more entertaining film. A Rolling Stone article outlines that several of the key dramatic moments in the film did not exist, such as Freddie Mercury informing the rest of the band of his illness before the Live Aid performance, when in reality, he found out some years after the performance.
Got it. Got what? AIDS.
Another example is how the group didn't split up in the dramatic fashion that is portrayed in the film. The truth is that the band agreed to take a break after extensive touring. It is apparent that there's a clear desire in this type of film to ignore the real events that occur and in place create more cinematic, entertaining scenarios. However, there are films where extra steps are taken to try and improve the historical accuracy. In The King's Speech, steps were taken to make sure that the film was more historically accurate, especially looking at the relationship between Prince Albert and his speech therapist, Lionel Logue. Archival footage was used so that the actors could try and portray the characters in a more accurate tone, as well as using a personal diary written by Logue to get a more introspective look into their relationship. Another example of a film going further to try and give a more realistic version of events is the 2014 film Selma, which recounts Martin Luther King Jr.'s attempt to gain equal voting rights in the US in 1965. An article written by von Tulsemann states that there are multiple examples of the further research that went into the production. One of them is a scene where Martin Luther King confronts President Johnson on the issue of voting rights. The line from the film,
"Let's not start another battle when we haven't even won the first." And you know what the next battle should be? The eradication of poverty. I'm calling it the war on poverty. It's a matter of political priorities. Poverty is going to be my focus at home, and I want you to help me with this.
Compares to the 1998 autobiography written by Claiborne Carson. Looking at how these specific films depict their version of the truth gives some insight into what is preferred. Historical accuracy, or the over-exaggeration or fabrication of events to create a more interesting story. It is difficult to give a blanket statement on whether biographical films abuse what people think is the truth for more compelling stories.
You want a second take for protection?
What's to protect? It was perfect, huh?
But it is certainly clear that it does happen in high-profile films. This is a genre that blends the techniques of documentaries with the tropes of fiction, and in many cases, tricks the audience into believing that what they are viewing is the truth.
Stop.